Thank you, everybody, for attending today's Media Day, 24-25 North Florida Men's and Women's Basketball Preseason Local Media Day. So we appreciate your support and coverage of us throughout this season. We'll have three speaking portions. We'll start with Director of Athletics Nick Morrow. I'll welcome Coach Erica Lambert with the women's basketball team, and then we'll finish with Head Coach Matthew Driscoll. And for media, we'll open with sidebar questions afterwards. So without further ado, I'll welcome Director of Athletics Nick Morrow.
I appreciate everyone being here today. Always an exciting time of year. And as many years as I've been doing this, it always seems to sneak up on us, or at least me. It's pretty wild that we're 13 days from tipping off for the basketball season. And at the same time, we're finishing up a really busy fall. We've had one of our more successful falls up to this point. Our men's and women's soccer team are in position right now to host ASUN playoffs in Hodges Stadium, so we're keeping an eye on that. We're hosting the ASUN Cross Country Championships next Friday, on top of preparing for basketball season. So a really exciting time around here at UNF. As an athletic department, we have the responsibility and the ability to impact enrollment, experience, and engagement at a higher level than any other department on campus. We are focused on supporting the President's vision of growing this university's enrollment to 25,000 students, and we're focused on elevating UNF to a top 100 public universities. We can accomplish this feat by engaging at a higher level with our local and campus community. So that's really what we're focused on as an athletic department. What role can we play in helping achieve those aspirational goals for the university? So a couple things we're working on the community front as we look to boost attendance and bring attraction to our basketball programs. Our home opener for men's basketball is also our military appreciation game on November 7th. So there's already 400 plus free tickets that are out to local military families, and that's going to continue to rise. Men's basketball is headed to Mayport tomorrow to scrimmage and engage with the local military and families. We have our teacher appreciation game on January 29th, and so more to come on that, but we're looking to, again, get out hundreds of tickets to local teachers and show appreciation for what they're doing for our community. On November 6th, we have over 1,600 local K-8 students that are already set to take a free field trip to UNF Arena for our annual Women's Basketball Education Day, which is typically our loudest game of the year. Cheering for absolutely everything that happens on the court. And then we're going to continue to work with local groups and organizations to further increase our attendance and engagement at our basketball games. So again, Josh Baker has recently been moved into a associate AD and a community engagement role, and he's really, the reason he did that and the reason we put him into that position to engage at a higher level and get more of the community out here. So he's off to a good start. Other community partnerships that we're working on outside of boosting basketball attendance is that we released our first ever beer with Ink Factory Brewing called the Swoop Session IPA. That was released back in September. Very, very successful launch there. You now can buy a Swoop sub at Angie Subs. So if you haven't tried that, it's really good. I was hesitant at first, but then I got it and I really liked it, and that's probably my go-to from here on out. So again, appreciate Ed and the Angie Subs folks for doing that. And not to mention both of those, when you buy a beer, you buy a sub, 10 to 12% of every one of those purchases are coming back to UNF Athletics and supporting our scholarship fund. So those are the type of engagement opportunities we can have. We have some co-branded merchandise coming to Sunrise Surf Shop very soon, so that's a secret, even though I just told everybody and the media's here. But it's really exciting what could come with Sunrise Surf Shop, and we're also having other conversations with local establishments around Jacksonville for more of the same kind of thing. That's what we're looking to do, engage with the community at a higher level, get our brand out there. It's an exciting brand of basketball. We want people to come out here. We have great student athletes we want the community to support. We also know that student attendance is really critical for our success. We have the best atmosphere in the Atlantic Sun Conference when our students show up. There's no doubt about it. Anybody who's ever been to our arena, when we have the student section filled, there's no environment like it out in the ASUN Conference. Tailgating is back again this year. That's one thing, again, we're trying to drive a student life experience that helps with retention for the university and creates a more exciting atmosphere for basketball games. We've made an investment into the pep band this year, so when you see them, they're the biggest and loudest they've been in several years. So we're excited about the university's investment into our pep band. And then beside the consistent engagement we have with student government and Greek life, we're going to have several student-specific promotions, including Class of 2028 night and housing night. And so we're going to really focus on driving student attendance in addition to the community engagement. Other key dates worth noting, the Atlantic Sun Southern Conference Challenge. That's a new thing this year that our two leagues are doing. We're hosting ours on December 14th against UNC Greensboro, so a really quality program that'll come in as part of that ASUN SoCon Challenge. Be something fun to watch. Homecoming game will be on February 8th. That'll be doubleheader with men and women that day. Always one to circle on the calendar. River City Rumble home game for men will be on February 20th, and women's basketball on March 1st. So always fun when we in the River City Rumble battles that we have. We're also celebrating our 10-year anniversary of our first Atlantic Sun Championship and NCAA tournament appearance on the men's side, and we're going to continue to honor that team throughout the entire season, so keep an eye out for different promotions and different things we're going to do to honor that program. Ticket sales right now are going well. We're at a 93% renewal rate on season ticket accounts and 92% renewal on premium seats. 58 of the 60 courtside seats we have are sold, and 45 of the 75 Haight Outlook seats are also sold, and we're continuing to bring in new accounts every day, and so happy with those numbers. The hospitality suite we're in today was formerly known as Bank of England Suite, is now known as Lone People Suite. I'm not going to get into the details of that, really not my place, but it is one of the best sports and entertainment values in the entire city. With unlimited food and drink every game up here. So highly encourage you to bring your friends and experience it because it's hard to beat. We're also introducing a new premium experience, the Money Pages Swoop and Sip Lounge. Thank you to Alan Worley and the Money Pages folks. We created a really cool area. I encourage you to see it on your way out downstairs in the lobby. The upgrades were made possible by Money Pages, and it's the newest hospitality experience that's geared towards larger groups and companies. We want to engage with different corporations, different large groups, use that space. Your ticket comes with a lower level reserved seat in addition to unlimited food and drinks for pregame. And so encourage people to experience that for the first time and definitely lay eyes on it on your way out. It's really cool. So appreciate the folks at Money Pages. We've been able to create the best college atmosphere in Jacksonville and the best fan experience in the ASUN Conference. Again, people are coming into the arena for the first time, or the repeat customers from the Atlantic Sun Conference have really talked highly of what we've been able to do here. And we're just going to continue to work on creating that environment, but we need people. We need people to show up and create that environment to make it really difficult to play here for our opponents and fuel our student athletes so they can be at our best. But besides the game day experience, we're also continuing to invest in our basketball programs. So the ever-changing landscape right now in college athletics, I mean, Coach Lambert and Coach Driscoll in their support staff, like what they have to deal with now from the ever-changing landscape of college athletics is more difficult than ever. It is constantly moving, and there's been more change in the past 3 years. In the next couple of years will be even more change than beyond that. And so we're having constant conversations about how can we stay ahead of our competition? How can we do better to support our student athletes? So even though they're year to year you're building a team rather than a program, but we're still working really hard, the mission remains the same. We're providing the best experience possible. We're going to positively impact the student athlete lives, and while bringing exposure to the university through championship basketball. So nothing changed. Even all of the landscape, the NCAA, and all the changes that are coming and how we have to change the way we operate doesn't change the mission that we have. In August, we announced our next facility project to work towards creating that best experience possible, and that's the Arena Locker Room Project, which will provide larger, more modern locker room spaces for men's and women's basketball and volleyball. We'll also create a video room that all of our programs can use and an expanded training room that all of our programs can use. So really excited about that project. We will start that immediately following the basketball season with the goal of being done by summer B when all the basketball student athletes come back. So we're excited to get that project as well. Really excited about the start of the basketball season and what Coach Driscoll and Coach Lambert have done in the offseason and watching their preseason practices and getting ready. It's going to be an exciting year. It's, like I said, exciting brand of basketball. I highly encourage you to come out, bring your friends. The quality of the product on the court, the great student athletes we have, like you can't beat it. And it's really important that people come out and support our program. Because when people come out and support, like the things we can achieve here at UNF are going to be amazing. But we need that community support. We need that campus support. So I look forward to seeing you in UNF Arena this year. Thank you.
All right, we'll now introduce head coach Erica Lambert in her second season leading the women's basketball program. We have three Ospreys sitting here as well. We'll open up for interviews afterwards. Sarah, Grace, and Kayla bringing a lot of experience. Grace transferred in from Northern Illinois, and we have two Georgia natives as well. So, Erica, get things going.
Good morning. I think it's still morning. Thank you all for being here. I'm Coach Erica, and I'm excited to be entering my second season as a head coach overall and second season leading our team here at UNF. Go Ospreys! So we are in countdown mode at this point. This is a thing for us coaches, but we're 13 days away. Am I right? 13 days from tip-off. I need all 13 of those. I think the players are always ready to go. They want game day to come sooner. Coaches want more practice time. But we've been working really hard since this summer to put this squad together. I think there's a lot of things that are new for our program this year as a team, but the vision remains the same. So, we're working to build something special here, and we really think that we have the tools we need to be a top 3 finisher in the ASUN every year. I feel confident about that. We're going to continue to have excellence in the classroom. I inherited a great group of students. I see our staff, our academic support staff back there. We were already champions in that right before I got here. We're going to be great ambassadors for the university, and I think we're trying to get our players to think more on a national level. So just trying to really grow and expand there, and of course provide a transformative experience for our student athletes. We're always looking to equip them, to empower them, and we're doing a good job with all the off-the-court stuff, but we've got to get the on-the-court stuff right. So the 23-24 season was really foundational for us. It was just about setting standards, really setting our culture, getting things started, and putting a basketball framework in place so that we can get closer to where we want to be. We started to build our offense, started really talking about the scoring system that we're working for. We joined the men's program in being a team that wants to shoot a lot of threes. So we shot them. We didn't make as many as we wanted, but by the end of the year, we were taking the shots that we wanted, and I just really appreciate our year one team for buying into what we were selling. We lost a lot of games, but we played a lot of close games. We played in 6 overtime periods, lost some conference games by a really close margin. So our team, over the course of the year, I think talking to opposing coaches, we really developed this no-quit mentality. We clawed back from being down big several times, and I love that. I love the heart that our team showed. I love the character that our team showed, but it's time for us to be more in control on the court. So we're going into year 2 with me and my staff, and really just what's different about year 2, we have 9 new players. We have 3 new coaches. Really just thrilled about the staff that I have. I hired a head coach and just assistant coaches who know how to win and know how to build, really, which is a huge part of the process here. My family and I have settled into Jacksonville, so we love this. I feel like everything's a little bit more familiar to me around town, familiar to me in the ASUN. We're a little bit better in every position on the floor. So 1 through 5, we've gotten a little bit bigger, a little bit more athletic. We have more scoring weapons, more depth, better three-point shooting. And so when you're building this type of program, it's about incremental improvements, and I feel confident that we've done that. Our staff recruited our butts off last year, so we were working really hard to connect with our team and connect with our girls every day, but recruiting for every coach is just kind of an all-day, everyday thing, and it was amplified last year, so we're thrilled about the 9 new players that we've added to our roster, and I want to talk about some of them. So as far as new players go, Jamison Stinson is a freshman for us from Ohio. She's a sniper, and she's 5'10", so she adds some really great size on the perimeter, and just never met a three-point shot she didn't like, so I love that. Jazz Spencer is a 5th-year senior for us. She was a junior college player who came from another Division I school, and she's a kid who has scored, had multiple games where she's scored 40 or more points. She had a 50-point game in her junior college career. You just can't teach that. She's a bucket. Grace Hunter, who's here with me today, she's a 6th-year senior. How old are you, Grace? 24. She's 24. She's going to be my last ever 24-year-old to coach. Maybe, I don't know. I guess if this if the rules change, we could do that again. But Grace came onto campus and just gained credibility with her teammates right away because her work ethic is just through the roof. Really set the tone in strength and conditioning this summer, and she's an experienced, heady, veteran basketball player, so we're really excited to have her leading us. Sydney Pettis is new for us. She's just a sophomore, but she's a post player who will get a lot of minutes this year. She's from Pennsylvania, came to us from the junior college level. We're really excited about Jazz Gibson. She's another freshman. She's a physical specimen. She's a 6'1" kid with guard skills, can kind of score inside out. She's a really aggressive defender who came to us from Orlando. And rounding out the freshman, Nikki Carino, she is kind of a mismatch for other teams because she has a post player body, but she can shoot threes as well. So really excited about those new players. And as far as our key returners go, I've got our two key returners here with me. So Sarah Taub is with us and really has put in a lot of minutes, a lot of time, a lot of experience with this program. So I think if you ask her teammates, a lot of them lean on Sarah for guidance. They know Sarah's always going to show up for them on the court, off the court. We were at ASUN Media Day last week, the week before, something like that. And there was a social media question to Grace and Rue about who would be your emergency contact on the team, and the answer was quickly Sarah. So we'll rely on Sarah for a lot of things. And then, of course, Rue is our returning leading scorer. She averaged double figures last year. I think she's one of the best guards in the ASUN. I thought she was one of the best guards in the ASUN last year. But I'm really transparent about this. I don't think Rue minds me sharing. Like, we've had to push Rue a little bit. So Rue has grown way out of her comfort zone, and I'm really excited for you guys to see the result of that this year. So we have 4 seniors, 3 juniors, 4 sophomores, and 4 freshmen. We have a lot of new players and a lot of talent, but also a lot of youth. So it comes with a lot of coaching. We had our first scrimmage this last Saturday. And yesterday in practice, we were working to correct some of the mistakes that were made in the scrimmage. And I may or may not have been getting upset about some things. And one of the freshmen came up to me and asked a question. And it just, instead of making me mad, it just made me smile. Like, I kind of laughed a little bit and was reminded that, you know, it's only October. We got a bunch of freshmen and sophomores, and there's a lot of teaching required. So that's why I have a job. That's why I love my job. But I'm really excited about this group. I think the ceiling is really high. So if you come watch us play this year, you can really expect to see the evolution of this team over the course of the season. We do need some game experience together to just learn how to play together. And I'm looking forward to that starting on November 4th. We open up at Florida State with Kids Day, their Education Day. So they'll have thousands of screaming kids to get us started. That's always fun. And then we come home and host our own, as Nick mentioned. I call it Scream Fest. It's Kids Day or Scream Fest. You're welcome to come join us for that, or maybe wait until Saturday, November 9th. That's our true home opener. We play Georgia Southern at home. So we'll have a lot of opportunities to be tested early, and really what you can expect to see from this team this year is just playing with a lot more pace. We're going to put the ball in the basket more, a lot more defensive pressure. Last year we were pretty shorthanded just in numbers. We didn't always have a lot of healthy players. So there were things we wanted to do defensively that we felt like we just weren't able to because we didn't have enough bodies to run in and out. So we have more depth, really opportunities to put different lineups on the floor. And I mean, the thing that I think remains consistent about this team is super high character. Our theme for the year is Light It Up. That goes along with three-point shooting, but also just how we want to carry ourselves in the community and on our campus. One of the things I challenged our players to do when we started this year was to win our campus first. Like, we need to be the best in the weight room. We need to be the best in the classroom. We need to be the best communicators. In this department, everybody who works in this department and plays in this department is competitive. But we're trying to beat the teams on our own campus first, and we all just kind of raise the level when we do that. So I'm super impressed with the jump forward we've made in that regard, and excited to see what this group will do this year. Thank you. Hi, Gary.
Two questions. The points that you got from Lyric that passed, do you want Kayla to take more of a scoring role, or with Maddie healthy, if she is, do you think that would be spread out among?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think probably a lot of those points would have gone to Alexa Washington, but she's had a season ending injury. So she's not with us this year, and she's one that, if you're wondering why I didn't talk about her, that's why. So she was our all conference freshman last year, and we'll be excited to get her back next season. But those points, I think, naturally get distributed between Jazz Spencer and Jamison Stinson on the perimeter, Grace Hunter. We've got several scoring options there, but it is a void that we need to fill.
Okay. And then the other boy with Emma, you didn't have the most size in the world, but you had Emma last year. So who's going to fill that role? And do you actually have more than one player who can do the things that Emma did for you?
Yeah. So offensively, I think we've adjusted things a little bit more where we want our five player to be a little more mobile. I loved coaching Emma. I was so thrilled I got to coach her last year, and she was such a force inside, as you know. And this year we have Sydney Pettis, who I mentioned, the sophomore post player. She's about 6'1", and then Selma Eklund, our returning five player. So those two will carry the load, and I think they'll be great at doing what we want to do in conference play and in mid-major matchups. We'll miss Emma's size when we're playing the Florida States and Floridas of the world, but otherwise I think we've made some offensive adjustments just to kind of get more mobility out of our post players.
Okay, then a final question I had, you talk about the culture that you wanted to establish. How did they get better at it as the year went on? And what makes you optimistic that that progress is going to continue to the point where, winning is going to be the expectation and not necessarily the hope?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's really nice for me to have returners this year because they speak my language. So that's pretty cool as a new head coach to hear Sarah and Rue like they're using our core values language and they're using our identity language with new players. So it's about ownership. A lot of it is about ownership and less about me talking to them about winning and more about them talking to their teammates about winning. So there's just more ownership and we're moving to a more player-led direction.
Other questions? Coach, you mentioned how much of a balance you have of freshmen to seniors. Do you think that's a good thing when it comes to like you not having to do all the teaching on the court and some of the more veteran players get to do it too?
I think for years and years, Division One basketball, like the successful programs, were determined by who had the most returners or who had the most upperclassmen, and now it's kind of jumbled because of the transfer portal. We don't really, it's not as much of an indicator. I do have 4 seniors, but only 2 of them have played for me before, so 2 of them are new. Overall, I've had to step back several times this fall and remind myself that we're a pretty young team, which is a good thing in terms of sustainable success for the future. So coming into this, I knew it would be a 3 to 4 year process. That's not to say, I think we're going to surprise a lot of people in year 2, but I also have to remind myself to be patient. I believe I wrote that on the board this week in the locker room. Yes.
Any other questions for Erica?
I guess just kind of big picture, Erica. Like Gary kind of alluded to, no Emma in the middle. You're moving, for lack of a better term, to more of that 3 ball, but also gives you an opportunity to have more players on the floor who can score. How do you counter, and how does that stack up against the rest of the ASUN, and where do you think the rest of the conference is headed, knowing, of course, everybody's chasing FGCU?
Yeah. It was interesting going through, our conference slate last year and getting a better sense of what the different styles of play were. And I think the ASUN is just kind of an even split. On the women's side, at least, we have the FGCUs of the world and then some other teams who rely heavily on three-point shooting and just really just heavy on offensive systems. And then the other half of the conference is just super athletic, maybe a little bit bigger, just real tough and physical. So when you go into a game week, you could play 2 completely different opponents from Thursday to Saturday, which makes it fun and exciting and just keeps us on our toes from a scouting standpoint. But obviously we need to be really flexible. So we want to play a lot of man defense, but we've been working on our zone and shoring up our zone to make sure that we have a tool for when we are outsized. Thank you, everybody.
We'll now introduce head coach Matthew Driscoll. We have sitting next to him Nate Lateris, Amitri Moss, and Oscar Berry. You'll get a chance to speak to him afterwards. And I think we'll get a comment about your suit that you're wearing today, maybe to start the press conference.
I'm not going to use that microphone for the in-house people. I don't think it's necessary. Plus, I'm not as tall as Coach Lambert, so I don't go over top of it, so I don't want to do that. I'd like to honor Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, for allowing me to be here a quarter of my life. 16 years I've been at this institution. And what an amazing blessing it's been. I wore this suit, I wore this tie the first day that I got the job, and I've worn it every year since during this time of beginning of the season to help me refresh and recalibrate a little bit about what we are about to entitle. And when you look at Carrie Driscoll and you talk about UNF and you talk about the face of our program and what she's done, not just for myself, because a lot of people think that wives should just understand that this is what you're getting into. And coaches don't even understand what they're getting into, let alone wives. And all she's done is serve. And that's all she thinks about is serving. And so I'm grateful. My staff, I'm not sure there's another institution in America at any level that has the experienced staff or the loyal staff that we have here. And Nick and administration before should be very proud of the fact that you've helped us retain these people, because they've been an incredible influx into our community, into our program. And there's no staff that recruits better than our staff. And I'll get into that a little bit more. Based on how much our guys get poached, there's a reason for that, and recruiting and development are part of it. So Coach Bobby Kennan been with me the whole time. Coach Bruce Evans been with me the whole time, short stint at Georgia Tech. Coach Stephen Perkins has been around me since 06 when he walked in the office at Baylor. And, of course, Coach Chase, my son, was on the 2 championship teams in 15 and 16. When you look at what Nick talked about and Coach Lambert a little bit talked about, I would say this to you. In the last 11 years, something that you have to understand is we've never finished in the bottom half of the league. In 8 of those years, we finished 4th or higher, and 3 of those were championship teams. So every single year, it's always about the same thing for us. And that's what's beautiful. Our discipline, our commitment, but our consistency is so critical to who we are, the way in which we do things, and the standard that is set by our program, by these players. And when you think about these players, what you guys don't know, in 2 years, we brought in 15 new players. Of the 14 dudes on the team, only one of them, him, has ever played more than 1 season. So things are what they are. Things are going to be what they're going to be. When we won our last championship in 2020, there were only 2 schools in America that won their 2 championships, 16 to 20, with completely different rosters, and we were one of them. We quickly recruited, and we recalibrated, we reloaded, and we were really, really talented. And them dudes should still be here today based on the old standards. One's making $1 million, another one's making $750, and several other ones are making a lot of money as well too in college. And they should be playing for us. So we know how to build it. We know how to recruit it. We understand how to develop it. However, you got to live where you got to live. I always say this about the portal. You're going to swim in it or you're going to drown. It's one or the other. And so when you swim in it, you got to make sure you're not only getting the right dudes that can do it on the floor, but the right dudes that can do it in the community, in the locker room, on the campus. We had a 3.75, I think, this summer. We're always great academically. Tara, we really appreciate your support in what you do. But it's really, really, really important for these guys to understand that as we move forward. And I think they do. And I think it's very clear. The one thing is you'll never meet a productive person that's confused. And these guys are not confused with the way in which we go about things and the way in which things need to be done. And everybody wants to be told how great they are, but nobody wants to be told this is what you need to do to be great. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's about us. And as we do that and we move forward, the newer guys are starting to figure that out and starting to understand that. Very rare do you have something like we have. We have 5 of our 6 returners who have all played and started almost 20 games in their college career. Now, how does that happen? Like, it's kind of odd and kind of weird. If Amitri doesn't tear his ACL, then Jalen Smith doesn't become all freshman. Jalen Smith is just 12 to 15 minutes a game because he was balling. If Josiah doesn't continue to grow his game as a freshman and move into the starting lineup, then he doesn't get that opportunity as well too. So we've got a lot of experience, a lot of experience. And that's exciting for us because we understand in this league, experience is critical. Experience is critical. Because January 2nd, that's when the rubber meets the road. That's when reality starts to come into play. Because last year, what they pick us? 11th? Midway through the season, we're battling for first. This year, they pick us 7th. It's all perception. Because we know that March is the standard, and we know that March is what transpires when you go through that season, January to there. But leading up to it, how do you embrace where your feet are planted? How do you have a genuine purpose in what we're trying to do and the way we're trying to do it? The schedule's the schedule. It's always been the schedule. It'll always be the schedule. South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Georgia, Nebraska, Florida. It is what it is. So you can either cry on spilt milk or you can just go compete. And next thing you know, you beat Purdue. You beat Illinois. You're taking teams to double overtime. And these dudes are starting to understand it and starting to feel it. But also, too, you take those games away, the 14 home games, we have several high-level programs, our level, that have been to multiple NCAA tournament teams that are going to give us an incredible opportunity and some road ones as well, too. So we'll be well prepared for Austin Peay on January 2nd. Before you go to the Gator Bowl, you'll come to the Ospreys and come watch us play, and then you can go do the Gator Bowl that night. But everybody wants to know, well, Coach, like Tony Bennett, like, is that reality? Is that real? Yeah, it's real. It's real. Let me tell you guys don't know this. I'm the only coach. Let me rephrase that. We're the only program 16 years ago, a guy named Andy Katz, one of the most famous media people there is, was at ESPN. And he wrote an article about the 5 best hires in college basketball. John Calipari, different school. Sean Miller, Arizona, a lot of issues, different school. Ken Bone, you never heard of because he got fired, Washington State. The University of North Florida staff, still here. And the other one that was in that group was Tony Bennett. And Tony said to me, going to Reebok, getting on a plane, because we had played him back-to-back years at Baylor. He said, Drisk, do you think I can make it in the ACC? Do you think? You've been there. You were there when there was 2 championships. Duke and like, you know the league. Do you think I can do it? And I looked at Coach, and I said, Coach, I'm going to tell you why you have a chance to be successful. Because you are different. You ain't Duke. You ain't Carolina. You ain't getting them dudes. Like, you better know who you are. And you better look in the mirror and know who you are. And that's exactly what we did here. You got to know who you are. You got to know who you can bring in. You got to know who's got a chance to be successful on this campus. And then you got to be different. So you shoot it like there's nobody's business, right? But the problem is y'all don't understand. We're 62% at the rim, too. So don't just get caught up. We led the country again in three-pointers. Like, we're great at that. I think we actually have, and I said this last year, if Gene's not here, he's sick, allegedly. Like, I think we have the best shooting team that we've ever had, top to bottom. The best. You know, Nate Litteris, obviously, is the only returning forward with any kind of experience for us. And that's important because he's a guard. We got multiple guards. We got barely any guys that aren't guards. They can't dribble, pass, and shoot threes. And with Nate, obviously Mason is a red shirt as a returner. He's another guy that fits that bill, a local kid from Providence. And so that's nice for those 2 guys coming in. But we also got a guy that nobody wanted because he tore his hip labrum, didn't play last year. Everybody threw him to the side. But let me ask you a question. If a kid averaged 12 and 5 as a freshman in the Ivy League, you think that's pretty good? Come on, man. The Ivy League? Like, a lot of those dudes are going high major and getting paid. So, obviously, Liam has got a huge role to play. He's got some things he's got to get done. Nestor, another kid we have, a 6'9" kid from Russia that can shoot the living pea out of. His dad was one of the greatest players that ever played in Russia. And then you talk about the two freshmen. One of them, 6A Player of the Year. I'm telling you right now, you are going to fall in love with him, and I'm going to say this publicly. He's got a chance to be one of the greatest players to ever play for us. And I'm going to tell you why. He is not afraid to be coached. He is not afraid to be coached. Now, he doesn't always do it the next time or the next time or the next time, but he's not afraid to be coached. And he knows one speed, fast. He doesn't know any other speed, so we got to learn to gear him down a little bit, right? But he goes and goes and goes. And you're going to love Josh. I mean, you're going to love what he's about. You're going to love his smile. He's just infectious. He lights up a room. And then the other one, the 7-footer, everybody loves, right? I'm going to tell you one of his greatest skills. He can play the violin. He can play the violin. 6'1" as an 8th grader. Big-time soccer player. So you know he's got hands and feet. The problem is he just doesn't understand everything yet that's going to transpire. He's from Canada, but he grew to 7 feet. And he can shoot the living dog out of it. But he also has got a beautiful jump hook. A little bit Alcindor-ish, where he goes up. It's nice and stiff, and it's beautiful off his fingers. So that would be our forward scenario. The 8 guards, like Lane Kiffin said it best. Cost benefit. Where's Chuck? Cost benefit, right? You know what that looks like, right? Cost benefit. Scott, cost benefit, right? Robert Talley's back there shaking his head, right? Right? The benefit is we got a lot of dudes that can play. We got a lot of dudes that can shoot. We got a lot of dudes that can just do stuff. We are a player-led team. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And the quicker they understand that simple, sophisticated, the better we're going to be, right? But also with that benefit comes a cost. The cost is we're only going to play so many people. So everybody's raised their level. The scrimmages have been raised. Practices have been raised. So it's been beautiful for me personally to see this grow and our staff to see this grow and where we're going. And when you talk about the lead guard spot just in general, you talk about Jalen Smith that came back from an incredible season. He's even gotten better. He's shooting the ball better. He's making decisions better. He still has some of his moments that we're growing with him. And the thing about those guys is they have me for video. Because that thing, like them dudes, we've had 11 straight, listen to me, 11 straight all-league players in that position. 11 straight years of all-league in that position. So that position's huge, huge. And that's the beauty about Amitri. Comes back from an ACL, works his tail off. Coach Fred was at Texas when I was at Baylor, one of the best athletic trainers in the country, bar none. Said he was the hardest. Like, there were a couple others. LaMarcus Aldridge was one of them. Like, the hardest workers in that room. Like, he wants to get back on the floor, but he's only been back 3 weeks. And the problem is he's hard on himself. So we're trying to help him. Like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Just keep day by day. Keep stacking them. Compound interest, compound interest, compound interest. It'll all come to fruition. And then Taylor Thompson, local freshman for us also, too, plays in that position, which is great. When you go to the next position, which is the guys that run the wings and shoot the threes and get the most glory, so to speak, it seems like in our system when the lead guards are giving them the rock at the right time, when guys like him are out there because they got to guard him, and now they get confused. The next thing you know, obviously Oscar coming back with a lot of experience, big-time shooter. Obviously his pedigree is he plays extremely hard, extremely physical, but you guys don't know this. He set an ASUN record. It's not actually public and or, what's the word? It hasn't been proven yet. But it's an ASUN record. He had 22 assists and 4 turnovers last year in the ASUN. Because when he got hurt, he had to play the lead guard. We had no choice. So that dude right there is as tough as nails, as physical as nails. Leading these groups is the only guy with experience. And then beside him, obviously, Josiah Miles. A kid that's been around, a kid that started 6'6", can shoot it, can put it on the floor, can go to the rim, can do all kind of wonderful things. Really, really, really critical. However, when you look at what's next, you bring in a Division II All-American with Alex. When you bring in a kid like him that can score the ball 40 twice, 36 times, like a kid that didn't have 50. Kid that can really, really, really go after it and really do certain things with the ball. But he's got to learn how to play within how we do things and the way we share the sugar. And he's gotten better and better and better and better and one step back and better and better and better and one step back. And that's what you want, that kind of growth. That kind of growth. Cameron Oriole, like nobody wanted Cameron. Nobody's going to think Cameron. Cameron's going to be the dude that when you go to the park, you don't pick him up. And then at the end of the day, he's a guy who never leaves the floor because winners stay on the floor. That joker is a winner. A winner. Can shoot the living pee out of it. Like can shoot it. And he's got a weird thing about him. Like he makes late clock shots. It's just a weird thing that he has when he's been a freshman of the year and all that kind of stuff. He's just one of those things. And then you look at some other guys that play that position as well. One of them is a guy, Dante Oliver, that his daddy coaches at USF. He's been around basketball his whole life because his daddy was a coach. So he grew up around it. He's been around it. He's really done a lot of things that have really elevated what he does, the way in which he does them. And the best thing is he just plays with one speed. Like he just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And so he's another freshman that we have. I think Coach talked about having 4 freshmen, if I'm not mistaken. He's another one of those freshmen that we have. And I'm missing somebody. Who did I miss? Did I miss anybody? Nestor. No, I said Nestor. I guess I got everybody. Congratulations, Driss. No paper. Hey, so that's the kind of the makeup of what we got. Super excited. Gene asked a question last year. We shot 1,061 threes because I know he was a little bit paranoid about how many threes we're going to shoot. So I expect that number to go up again, break another record. The league's the league. There's only one team in the league that's returned over 50% of its players. One. There's 3 teams that returned 47 or higher, and we're one of them. But it doesn't matter. What matters is what you do now and the way in which you grow, and then January 2nd comes along. You know, the question's going to come about Chaz. How do you replace Chaz? How do you do all this stuff with Chaz, right? Everybody wants to be with Chaz, right? Let me give you 2 things about Chaz. You never would have asked me that question last year. You never would have said, Coach, it looks like Chaz is going to be the dude. Come on, man. He scored 17 points as a freshman. He averaged 5 points as a junior. Like, come on, man. He's special. He's special. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Chaz knew that if I get this opportunity, everything I've put in the books, all the time that I've spent in here, all the extra that I've done, it's going to pay huge dividends. I just got to be patient on the board. I just got to be patient. And now he's making close to $1 million. He had 27 in their private scrimmage with 7 for 12 from 3. So who's going to be the next Chaz? Who's going to take over for Chaz? I would answer your question this way. I hope and I pray, and we've been very consistent with these guys, don't try to be Chaz. Be the best version of you, be you, and everything else will take care of itself just like Chaz. Because if you try to be someone you're not, it's not going to end the way you want it to end. And that's important for us as this group continues to move forward. I appreciate you. Super excited about these guys and where we are. And most importantly, I'm super excited about where this university is going in these times. Because though the landscape's changing, at the end of the day, they got girl issues. They got roommate issues. They got issues amongst themselves. They got issues at home. These dudes got issues. And kids will always have issues. And our job is to make them as good of men as we could possibly make them. And that's critical for us. Thank you.
Two things. You mentioned they shouldn't worry about being the next Chaz. Do you have a candidate to be the next Dorian, the kind of leader that you
Now that is a great question. I love that question. 6 years, right? 24, talk about grace, right? Just a guy that has been through it, been around it.
not necessarily somebody who's been there 5 or 6 years, but a guy who can give you
Nate.
off the court with Dorian.
Nate. Like he gets it, and I'll tell you why he gets it. 14 guys on a team, only one that's played with us longer than a year, also only one that's ever been to the NCAA tournament. So he understands, like, this is what it looks like, this is what it sounds like, this is what it smells like this is what you have to do in order to go where you want to go. And you can't go to where you want to go unless you take care of what's in front of you. And he's really, really special with that. And we lean on him for that. And I know he does that with the guys, whether it be on the floor or in other places as well, too. So Nate is kind of embraced that.
And then assuming Dimitri continues his progress and bouncing back.
100%. He will.
What do you think the dynamic point guard will be between Jalen and Dimitri?
So,
Especially when you get to the conference season.
so we've never, shouldn't say that. Let me step back. We've rarely ever done that. We've always played mostly with a lead guard and then just dudes that can just shoot the pee out of it, drill pad, like all that stuff. However, when EA was coming around with Jose and then Jarius, we kind of messed around with that a little bit and had the flow of two of those guys on the floor at the same time. And so it's critical, though, when you do, that those guys got to be able to understand they can't be both stuck in the same mode. Because now you got two people waiting for the ball, and that's not how we play. And so we've messed with it at practice. They've played together at practice. We did it last year as well, too, in practice, where they played together when we went to Costa Rica and whatnot. And so that's something that we're not looking at like, now we'll never do that. That's something that we'll look at once that becomes much more clear and becomes with this non-conference schedule.
Well, and not so much two in the game at the same time, but will there be situations where one guy's skill set might lend itself to different situations
100%.
during the game,
100%.
different times?
100%. Yeah, that's coaching 101 on that one.
And
Yeah.
we knew what Jalen could do. We didn't necessarily get a full season of what.
No, not a full season, but if you saw his preseason right there, whew, yeah, that joker can go. And the thing about him is, the thing that's beautiful is he gets hurt. He was upset. You know who the most upset guy was in that moment? Jalen Smith. Coaches did a great job with Jalen. Like, Jalen was hurt for Dimitri. Like, he was hurting for Dimitri. And the coaches are like, hey, man, like you got to go. You got to go. And then we go down to Florida Gulf Coast the next game and beat them handily, you know, with Jalen obviously driving the ship. So, like he understands that, and he understands that. And those dudes are super tight about that. But in reality, at the end of the day, you're going to put the best dudes on the floor to give you the best opportunity to win at that particular time. And, like, look at last year. Look how many dudes we had scored double digits in the league. We probably had 10 dudes, maybe 11, scored double digits in the league. And so, like, opportunity's going to present itself. You better pick up those breadcrumbs along the way, because if you don't, you're not going to eat.
And does Dimitri defend to the level of Jalen, or can he defend to the level Jalen did?
100%. 100%. Only because of his mental tenacity. Like, he understands what it looks like, and he knows the game so well that as he's working through this rehabilitation, so to speak, and quite frankly, I think it's a mental more than it is anything else, because he crushed all the numbers. He was done early on everything. So he crushed everything. So I think he's just got to continue to go in and maybe dunk on somebody and be like, he took, like yesterday when you went to the floor, right? He went to the floor yesterday. It was big time. Like, POV, go to the floor, big time. And, like, I was sitting over there saying to myself, okay, what you going to do? And he popped right back up. And I was like, okay. We're, like, so those things are important.
Coach, when you navigate all this roster turnover, do you look for a certain amount of maybe more experienced players or younger players? How do you kind of navigate that?
We look for the best fit. And so we don't actually put a number on it, but I'm going to tell you this, and even though our NCAA compliance person is sitting in here as well too, like the 4 freshmen that we were going to sign, like we're going to stack 3 incredible classes together. Like 3 incredible classes together. Like, these dudes can recruit. And so if it happens to be a freshman, it's a freshman. But I'm going to tell you right now, like Cameron and Dante, we got them so super late. This is the longest I've ever recruited in my life. Like, we brought more kids on a visit than we've ever brought in before. I mean, our staff was like May used to be the downtime. May is the revved up time. Like, you keep going because it's just a different deal, right? And so Cameron and Dante, like, nobody wanted them. Nobody wanted them. And both of those jokers can go. Like, you'll see. And so I think it's just you got to continue to have an eye. You got to continue to have an ear to the road. Like, you got to continue to take calls and look at video and understand. But the one thing we'll always do, unless it's some outlier, like some crazy outlier. Romello Banks was a little bit of an outlier, right? 6'11", 245. A little bit different because he wasn't like Arden can shoot threes, right? We're always going to put a round peg in a round hole. Like, that's huge for us. You got to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot. And so, look at Dorian James. I mean, Dorian James, you don't know, is he 48.1% from three last year. He broke the record. He's single-season three-pointer in the history of the school. In the history of the school. In the year before, he missed his first 19. Right? So, like, we're going to put a round peg in a round hole. And so that's kind of how we go about it.
What do you make of the rest of the league? Kind of where, your conversations in Charlotte, just with other coaches in terms of same spot, are certain schools finding themselves having to revamp their identity in light of where college basketball is headed?
Are you an axe thrower or a dart thrower?
More art, or a dart.
Yeah. Carrie and I, during our early dating, were big-time dart.
Yeah, the dart more than the axe.
So, like, if you threw at a dartboard and if you gave, like, the predictions, the bigger deal, right, and narrowed it down, the lower numbers would get the bullseye, like, you could throw it wherever you want to throw it. Because, like, for instance, everybody talked about this, that, and the other. Ognisevich didn't play last year. He was preseason player of the year, and he didn't play. So, and then you look at the guy Ortiz, he went to UAB and played and came back to the same school. And so nobody knows, right? But also, too, injury, illness, attrition, those things all come into play, too. So we got to really, really take care of South Carolina, understand what we're trying to do, make sure our scheme is in place and as we move forward. And then as we get closer, we're going to see how things are going to start to shake out. And then as things shake out, Austin Peay, 2 o'clock on that January 2nd, and then you say to yourself, okay, what's the league look like? Because in my opinion, the league's the league. Like West Georgia, I know is new, but the league's the league. And the league's always been great. It was great 16 years ago. 4 teams finished first. The 5th team was a half game out of first. And 5 played 6 to go to the NCAA tournament. So the league's always the league, right? And the coach always said it since the beginning. The league you're in is always the best league in America. And so, like, we got to understand that. But most importantly, we got to get better every single day to know that when we get to the league, let the chips fall where they may. Because that's what I love. Like, that's what I love. I love people that say this, that, and the other. Like, that's how I grew up. That's what obviously I don't look the part. Like, so, like, that's what I love. Like, I love those challenges.
Any other questions? Coach, you mentioned that you had, one player out of 15 that's been here
14, yeah, Oscar.
How much does it help to have such an experienced coaching staff? I know you touched
Oh.
on it early, but does it help when it comes to this artist roster turnover and stuff?
Yes, but I think it's greater than that. I think these guys, if you think about it, the male role models that they have in front of them is ridiculous. The consistency they get on a daily basis is ridiculous. The love that they get on a daily basis, and believe me, it's my 38th year. So it ain't like I'm some new guy on the block that's never been around it, right? I've been at the highest levels. You understand? So, like, these dudes, this staff, like, I'm telling you right now, and that's the thing that's crazy. You know, if you take off the north and you say Florida, like, you're buying 5 people instead of getting bought 5 times. Life's a whole lot different, right? And these dudes, they never waver. Like, they never not understand that the most important things are these dudes. And so we pour into these guys. We love into these guys. And when you have an older group, and the thing, too, is like Coach Chase, he played here. He was part of that championship team. So another different venue, right? Another different avenue that these guys can talk to about different things. And so our staff it's ridiculous. It's, in my opinion, it's the best staff in America. And you'd have to argue. We can get in a debate about that. We really will. Thank you, guys. God bless.
Thank you, everybody, for attending today's media day. For any media, if you want to get any players on sidebar, we'll pull them beside the packed reps. Thank you.